Welcome to the Hokie Hoops podcast, brought to you by State Farm. Whether it's auto, home, renters, or life insurance, whatever you need, the Andrews have you covered. That's our friends Andrew Evans and Andrew Blevins. Email insurance@sonsofsaturday.com to get connected today. I'm Pete B. I'm here with Mike McDaniel. No Ed today, but the two of us are going to get you up to date on what's been going on with Hokie Hoops, man. Been a little bit of a quiet period, but we have a big game coming up. How you doing, Mike?
Good, man. Hope holiday was good for you and for all the listeners out there. Definitely chaotic, when you got a 3-year-old and a bunch of family that wants to see him. It's holidays can be a little crazy. So
yep, you got to get the baby. That's the only reason anyone wants to go to these holidays, to see the baby. So
that's right.
You got to do your part. The Hokies are 11-2. We're going to talk about how they got there and what we can expect against UVA. Got a little bit of bad news today regarding Tyler Johnson. He's not going to be available. But we're also going to discuss ACC play when maybe we do get a little bit more healthy. But I'm not giving up on the UVA game just yet, Mike. There's some avenues where we could find a win there. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Let's discuss Elon quickly first, because this game got scary. No Toby, no Neo, no Dorn in this one. There's a little bit of a sickness going around from what I understood. And we found ourselves down 19 points in the first half. And it really felt like, even as the second half went on and we kind of got back in the game, it felt like we were going to lose. It just felt like we were too short-handed. And somehow, some way, we got it to overtime and we got the win. How did this kind of go down as you were watching it?
Yeah, big college football playoff day, right? And then I look up and all of a sudden text down 19. I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on over here. Because I'm thinking, all right, relatively ho-hum day. I'm working SI. I'm covering all the college football stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be easy going. Mm-hmm. And then everybody's sick. This was a game where you get a lot of good experience for guys that haven't played a whole lot, right? Like Isaiah Pasha had to play a ton, and there was some ups and downs, certainly, but he was a big contributor to the victory, all things said and done. Christian Gerdak was huge in the second half and overtime. But Tech didn't shoot the ball well in the first half at all. A lot of defensive lapses, which you would expect when guys are in and out of the lineup for sure. A lot of guys who are playing big minutes that haven't played together a lot this year. Pasha chief among them, right? Bedford only plays 15 minutes here. It was just kind of a slog in the first half. Tech shot it a lot better in the second half. Defense was a lot better. But anytime you're giving up 43 points in the first half to Elon, no disrespect to Elon, of course, but giving up 43-point first half to a team where you're favored over by, double digits is not the best look. And obviously if Tech's at full health, this kind of goes down a little bit differently, but I think it's one of those games where you're going to have a long layoff afterwards. You're doing the best of what you got. A lot of guys under the weather that were even playing, right, that aren't feeling 100%. You just get the win and move on. I think Tech's very fortunate to obviously pull that off in overtime and get the win. And
it would have been a devastating loss.
It would have been really bad.
It would have really affected our tourney hopes. And we saw this team have this type of game against Charlotte, but we weren't as shorthanded and we were able to kind of weather the storm and win a little bit more comfortably. But you combine the fact that Elon isn't as dreadful as a lot of people probably think they are, and that when we have lost players suddenly, like when we lost Toby in Atlantis, this team didn't adjust very well.
Right.
And I think we saw that again here. And so 13 assists, 13 turnovers in the game for the Hokies. It wasn't pretty. That is far below what we're used to seeing. Very, very happy to escape with the win. That brings us to 11-2, and we face an 18-game slate in the ACC upcoming. And it is a little frustrating that the first game is UVA, and it's while the students are on break and whatnot. But it's a New Year's Eve game. Play at 2 p.m., which is going to be tomorrow now because we are recording on 12:30. 2 p.m. on ACC Network against an 11-1 UVA team. This team has been in the rankings. They are number 24 in KenPom. They are number 24 in the net. Pretty consensus top 25 caliber team through the first half of the season. Comparatively, we are sitting at 68 in the KenPom and 63 in the net. So far below, despite the records being somewhat similar, the efficiency Mike, and the style with which UVA is playing is something that we are not used to.
No. It's a different looking Virginia team right under Odom than it was obviously under Tony Bennett and essentially the regime last year, right? That was just essentially all of his assistants left over when he resigned right before the year. It's a very different looking offense, right? Like this isn't the slow, grinded up type game. They're still playing pretty decently defensively, but it's not the same type of look, right? And how they're playing. I mean, they have 4 guys that are averaging double digits. They have several guys. If you look at this, 7. Yeah, they have 6 guys averaging at least 9 points per game.
It's a pretty deep
team. 8 averaging over 6.5 points per game. I mean, very deep roster. They're scoring a ton. They're averaging over 87 points per game. They're really good, right? And this is including, by the way, Elijah Gertrude, who tore his ACL. I mean, he would have been a big part of this as well and only ended up playing, the first 8 or 9 games of the year. So they're that deep without him. And I think it says everything you need to know. Now, do you expect the rotations to get a little bit tighter during conference play? Yeah, of course you do. But point being, Virginia Tech, we've seen, I think, the struggles in terms of the depth of this roster with everybody out. We'll get to the Tyler Johnson news here in a second. But Virginia, I think, despite having some guys hurt or sick or whatever, they're able to weather that because of the depth that they have. And it's been a real strength of their team so far.
Yeah, they've beaten Northwestern, Texas, Dayton, and Maryland this year. Those are the bigger kind of good basketball schools they've played. And then the only loss was to Butler, and that was the one that was at the Greenbrier. So kind of a funny location, and Butler's not a bad team. So that 11-1, it's good. We'll talk a little bit more about their schedule in a second, but it's the new coach. This is why we're seeing such a change under Ryan Odom. He comes over from VCU, and he has them rolling. And the disparity between this and a Tony Bennett run offense, I mean, the pace for one, and just their offensive rating, like they're 12th in the country in offensive rating right now. Like they are scoring at will. They're shooting the ball really well. You mentioned how many guys are in double figures. It's just bizarre to see after all the years and all the success under Bennett. It's bizarre to see this. And it's a super impressive job by Ryan Odom. I come away like very, very surprised, and like the results came a lot quicker than I would have expected. And you know what's crazy? VCU isn't even bad either.
Right.
They're pretty damn good.
Right. I know most people listening to this podcast are obviously hoops diehards, like very aware that Ryan Odom is the coach at UVA, but like there are going to be a lot of people watching this game tomorrow. They're just watching it because it's Tech UVA. You know what I mean? And they're going to tune in and say, wait a minute, Tony Bennett's not there anymore. Wait a minute. Ryan Odom's the coach. Who's Ryan Odom? And then they're going to see this style of play that is just so vastly different than what we've seen out of Virginia over the past decade plus. So they're a very interesting team. They've looked very good so far.
And despite the wins I've listed, I would say one thing that might help us is they haven't played the toughest schedule in the world. If you look at their strength of schedule rating on KenPom, we're over 100 spots better than them in terms of the schedule we face. It's not like we faced a murderer's row, but UVA has played one of the 60th, I can't even talk, but bottom 60 schedules in the country. That's what I'm trying to get at here. So that could be something where we may be a little bit more tested than this team. But I wanted to go over some of the things that they do well. And I mentioned the shooting, 14th in the country in 3-point percentage. They're shooting almost 40% as a team. It's just, if you round up, it's 40%. They're taking care of the ball, and they're turning people over. I mean, their assist to turnover ratio, top 20 in the country. They move the ball, 46th in assists per game in the country. And what scares me the most, I think, Mike, is the rebounding. This is a very good rebounding team. They have some size.
Yeah, averaging almost 42 rebounds per game. They have 2 guys averaging over 6 rebounds per game. I mean, they're loaded in the front court. They have good rebounding wings as well. Everybody pitches in. It's not just one guy doing everything. Juwan Grunlow averaging 7.2 rebounds per game. He's their leader, but the entire roster rebounds well. They're averaging nearly 42 rebounds per game, which, if we've seen Virginia Tech's issues this year, right, if there's one thing we can point to, especially with Toby out of the lineup, it's been the rebounding. So that is a major concern going into this matchup. And
they're good at the rim in general. I mean, they block a lot of shots. They're 4th in the country in blocks per game, and they're deep. We mentioned the depth, 30 points 30th in bench points per game or on the year. Now, some of that, the schedule is reflected in that, and we need to keep that in mind. But that's a lot of things that they do well. If you mentioned the big man, right? Johan Grunlow.
Yep.
9 points per game, 7.2 rebounds. DeRitter, this is their Neo answer. I went up and down this roster, and I'm just seeing a mirror image of the Virginia Tech roster. They have a stud international freshman in this DeRitter, 6'9", 240, freshman from Belgium, similar to a Neo situation. Grunlow is their German freshman who's been playing pro ball, which is this answer to Dorn. Malik Thomas is one of the wings that you mentioned that rebounds well. Sam Lewis is kind of their Tyler Johnson in that he kind of does a little bit of everything and defends well. He's probably their best defender. Chance Mallory, I guess, is the Ben Hammond, but Mallory he's been a bit of a revelation.
Yeah, he's been really, really good. Tied second on team in points. He's doing a little bit of everything too. Assist to turnover ratio, really, really good. Making his free throws, doing all the right stuff. But yeah, he's been a revelation. He's played in every game. He's been really good.
Yeah, he didn't have his best game against Maryland, but he scored double figures in all but 3 of the games. And he is a freshman, and he's only 5'10". Yeah. So he makes it happen in different ways. And he does the steal thing just like him. And 2.3 steals per game, 11 points per game. They would find the points elsewhere probably, but like I don't think they expected Mallory to be like this for them. They had a pretty good team without him.
Right. Yeah. And it's good that he's kind of emerged like this, right? Especially with Gertrude getting hurt. They needed somebody to step up in the backcourt and kind of, emerge in a way they weren't expecting. And Mallory's been that guy.
I think why I'm so impressed by how well they've played is because you look up and down the team, and clearly with a new coach in this day and age of basketball, all these guys have come from all over the damn place. I mentioned the Belgium kid, the German kid. Malik Thomas is USC to San Francisco to UVA. Sam Lewis, Toledo. There was Jakari White was a North Dakota State transfer, and now he just had wrist surgery, right? I think.
Yep.
And so he's probably going to miss the game. Now we know Rothstein said Abdallas is available and that Toby was a game day decision. That's how his tweet was worded.
Yeah.
I'm not so optimistic on seeing Toby in this one.
I don't think so. I was going to say that. I don't think so either. I would be pretty surprised if he played, but I do think he's close to returning, which is obviously really important given that Tyler Johnson being like game to game moving forward is what I think Berman said.
I don't like
in
that.
his Roanoke Times story is like not the best news. Like game to game means that he could be available tomorrow at like 70%, or he might be out like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know what game to game means. So that's concerning. It is good. Neo was obviously sick. There were several guys sick. Neo's going to be available. That'll be great to get him back into the lineup, get him back into the fold. There are some concerns with the depth on this roster. We've mentioned it, especially in the front court. I think getting Toby back would be a big help. I would be surprised if he played against Virginia, but I think getting him back for the brunt of conference play would be gigantic.
There's a lot of games in January, man. There's a ton of games.
And a ton.
We need him. Like, I'd like to have him for 50% of those games. So if that means he has to sit out Virginia, be that as it may, I mean, it sucks, but it's kind of, we're in a tough spot here, especially with our best defender and one of our best glue guy in Johnson already being out. So we're losing out on the trade was what I was trying to say with the Jakari White thing. Yes, they are missing a guy too, but if we're missing Toby and Johnson, that's much bigger losses across the board. I want to talk specifically about the matchup, how we're going to adjust without having those guys. After I tell you that Hokie Hoops is brought to you by State Farm. Every episode of Hokie Hoops is brought to you by State Farm, and more specifically by Andrew Blevins and Andrew Evans, your go-to guys for coverage that actually makes sense. Insurance can get very confusing very fast. That's why the Andrews take a different approach, real conversations, real guidance, and real people who will pick up the phone when you need them. Whether it's auto, home, renters, or life insurance, they've got you covered like a full court press by Ben Hammond. Right in your face. If you've been putting off checking your rates or reviewing your coverage, now's the time. The Andrews are friends of the Sons of Saturday family, and they're here to help you save money and get better protected. Getting in touch is easy. Just shoot an email to insurance@sonsofsaturday.com. That's insurance@sonsofsaturday.com. With the Andrews and State Farm, you're getting coverage backed by a neighbor you can count on. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Specifically in the matchup, my primary concern is them getting second chance points because of the perceived rebounding advantage. I worry about getting to the rim, shot blockers. What do you think the lineup's going to look like when we run out on the court without Johnson being out there?
We were texting about this with Ed earlier. The first thing that comes to my mind, I think, in this particular matchup, I think size on the wing is going to be pretty important. I think you almost have to start Hammond and Neo together. Like, you've been running Hammond out there a bunch lately anyway, like with the starters, just because of circumstances. And this is no different, in my opinion. Neo obviously is going to start, right? If he's healthy and playing, which all indications are that he will be there. I think you go with a lineup of Ben Hammond and Neo together. If you want to play Bedford in there, I think you do, right? Because he's been starting for most of the season, right? I think you start Bedford. So there's 3. And then I think what you do in the front court is obviously Hansberry's going to start. And then I think because of the size that UVA has, could you go Hansberry is the only big? Yeah, sure. I think you'll get crushed on the glass if you do that, right? So, like, the argument to put like Jaden Schutt in the starting lineup, I think doesn't make a lot of sense. He's been comfortable off the bench. He's been playing really, really well in his role. I think you keep him there. And I think you go with Hansberry and another big, Dorn or Gerdak, probably Gerdak with the way that he's played recently, especially. I know it's been a long time since Tech last played. It's been 11 days, by the time they take the court tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But Gerdak was really, really good against Elon. And I think you just put him in the lineup there with Hansberry, have Neo and Bedford and Ben Johnson, have that be your 5. Pasha's going to play a lot. There's going to be minutes for Sincere Jones, right? And obviously you're going to bring Jaden Schutt off the bench, but I think that's your 8. I think that's what you're rolling with. And then Dorn, Dorn.
Yeah, Dorn will be relied on, but I agree with you that I think Gerdak gets the start. It's going to be interesting to see what Mike wants to do, but in the last 2 games, Gerdak scored 30 points combined and 14 rebounds, and that was in 50 minutes of play. Yeah, that's pretty good production. I know it's not the best competition, but for a true freshman who we know has the body to get out there and be logging some minutes prior to ACC play, I thought that was really important and perhaps indicative of what Mike wants to do. So, yeah, start Gerdak. I think we need the size, and he has shown a little bit better rebounding ability over his last couple games.
I was going to say, and he's been a more willing rebounder, right? He's like trying to put himself in the right position. I think the frustrating thing about Dorn is that he's so big and he hasn't been able to pull in as many rebounds as you would hope for a guy his size, right? So
a little stiff.
Yeah. And I think you add some athleticism into the lineup there with Gerdak over Dorn. And I think this is a game
Schutt's still coming off the bench. Like that's
Schutt's
I just think that's the role that you want to keep him in.
You got to keep him in that role. And I think, you have obviously his shooting and his comfortability in that role and how well he's played. Like he's been Tech's most, I would say one of the 2 or 3 most consistent players the last like 5 or 6 games. And I just don't think you want to remove somebody who's feeling really good about where he is, right? And the role that he's playing. Hammond has been a guy who you could take and you can put him in the lineup. You can put him, take him off the bench, and he's been the same consistent guy, right? So I'm less worried about like messing with his role because he's done both this year. Schutt's been off the bench the entire year, and he's been very comfortable doing it. And as we see with the minutes distribution, he's going to play almost 30 minutes a night anyway. It's just the way
he's playing more minutes than some of the starters.
I mean, for sure. He's playing more than Bedford.
Yeah, I think that's the right move. You keep it there. Neo, Bedford, Hansberry, Gerdak, and Hammond as starters. And then the Pasha thing is interesting because he has played a decent amount of basketball. Last year, he played a lot as a freshman. And we saw him have to go in against Elon. We saw some Sincere Jones. Now, I don't know about a true freshman playing like a lot of minutes and what it amounts to like his second game. I know he's got some spot duty, but I don't know how many minutes Sincere Jones ends up with against UVA. I would expect to see more Dorn, Pasha, Hammond filling the minute role of Tyler Johnson than Jones. But I would imagine he'll get in there for a little bit just because he's a little bit taller than some of the guys I mentioned.
I think spot duty before every 4 minutes you get, TV timeout. I think it's like a spot duty, steal a couple minutes of, you get breather for Gerdak or breather for Dorn, and you try to steal some
And I did
rest
forget
time.
that Pasha is 6'5".
Yeah,
So and all these measurements, there's a little bit of fudging that goes on, but he's listed at 6'5", and not so far from Tyler Johnson. We're getting a little closer there in height.
right.
So, you can kind of get more of a 3 look from Pasha potentially, even though he came over as essentially a point guard. Like, I thought he was going to be a point guard when he came in. So,
Yeah. Pasha's probably going to play 25 minutes against Virginia.
Yeah, he could. He really could. So.
I mean, he's going to play a good bit, because just with the way that, especially with the way that Virginia Tech's front court's been fouling, he's going to have to play some. I mean, the front court's been fouling. You had to pull some of these guys off the court. You're going with the lineups where you're running small. Like, he's going to play 20 to 25 minutes, I think.
I think we both agree, if we're going to have a chance in this game, we need a special night from Neo. Like, we probably need, maybe not 30, but we probably need 25 out of Neo, and probably 6 or 7 assists as well.
You know how we go through those stretches where, like, Ben Hammond turns the ball over 3 or 4 times, but otherwise he's like outstanding.
Yeah.
We can't have those 3 or 4 missed possessions in this game. Can't have them. I think it's going to be,
we're going to get beat on the glass. Hopefully we can mitigate it, but we're going to get beat.
Yeah. It's going to be too. I think the second chance points thing you brought up is, I think, the most important part of this game, just because of how it appears on paper, right? Again, it's hard, we're adjusting for opponents and stuff like that, and we'll have a better sense as conference play goes along. You're playing similar calibers of competition, but like, their perceived advantage on the glass, like you mentioned, the second chance points is going to be really important. And I think because of that, you certainly like no live ball turnovers. Like, you just punt the ball into the stands before you have live ball turnovers in this game, with the second chance point opportunities they're going to have.
And that's more worrisome for me than their shooting, because their shooting has been excellent this year.
Yes.
Absolutely one of the best shooting teams in the country. But we've been good. If you look at the numbers, like, we've been good at perimeter defense, like defending the 3. We're a top 50 team.
Yep.
So they're going to get their shots. They'll make a decent amount of threes. I'm pretty sure of that. But it's more about loose balls, getting the ball off the glass, that kind of thing in this game. And we need the best version of Neo. We need the best version of Hammond. We need Shoot to play like he's been playing. We need Hansberry to be the stud that he is. And everything needs to go just so, if we want to get what, because it's funny, I don't know what the line is right now. I actually went to look for it earlier and I couldn't find it. And this was before the TJ news. And then I realized that's probably why I couldn't find the line. And maybe it's out now.
Let me see. UVA minus 4.5.
Okay. So yeah, we're looking for an upset at home here. That's not as bad as I thought it might be.
Yeah.
It is a rivalry game, but as I said earlier, I think we've been tested a little bit more than UVA. Not a ton more, but a little bit more. We've come out on top in 3 overtime games already this year?
Yeah.
If this
we've been on the right side of a lot of those.
Yeah. if this game goes to overtime, maybe that helps us. I don't know, man. We did struggle against the 2 best teams we faced, but that was still getting used to life without Toby. So I'm trying to but now we're getting used to life without Johnson. So this is very hard to predict for us.
Yeah.
We're kind of hoping beyond hope. Mike Young can have a game plan and go out there, and hopefully he's been prepared for this possibility. But it's our home court. It's UVA. We can absolutely get a win. We've worked a lot of miracles against UVA, having great teams over the years, and we've split the series many times. And this is an important game. As we go to talk about ACC in a minute, this is an important game.
Yeah. It would be a good one to get. I mean, it's tough because, like you mentioned off the top, home game without the students there is I mean, the locals will show up. It just won't be the same without the students there, obviously.
I think it's a sellout, but that doesn't necessarily mean full stands, But I do think it's a sellout.
Yeah.
Let's talk about ACC, man. Duke once again looks like the best team in the conference. A little bit up in the air because we have just done out of conference play so far, but Louisville not too far behind. UNC, a resurgent year.
Yeah, real good.
Looking like a different basketball team. And I would say those are the top 3 in my head. And then you go I would say UVA's right below that. That they could work their way up into that top 3, but I think it's UVA, some order of UVA, NC State, Clemson, Miami, and SMU. That next rung of teams. How do you see the ACC right now at the top?
Yeah, I mean, the one team that's really stood out to me is North Carolina, right? I mean, you expected them to be better this year, but I think there were a lot of questions coming into the year about just how good they would be. But Caleb Wilson looks like one of the best players in the country, so that really helps. He's been outstanding. He's averaging 19 and 11, I think. He's a walking double-double. He's been an absolute machine. And they've done a lot of this with Seth Trimble just not playing much at all. So, I mean, they've been really, really good. They're the most surprising team to me in the ACC in that they look like they are a potential Final Four team. And coming into the year, I thought that they would kind of be what they've been under Hubert Davis, except for that one year where they made the really deep run and they nearly won the title. I thought they were just kind of going to be one of those teams that was going to be like fringe tournament, maybe get to the second weekend. But this is looking like a Final Four type North Carolina team, which they're the biggest surprise in that regard, biggest jump up. Duke's outstanding, really, really good. Louisville's got a good team. NC State, you knew they were going to put together a good roster under Will Wade. He's real mad at how they've defended, and he's real mad about some of the young guys on the team. He went on that I don't know if you saw it right before Christmas. He went on this.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
They win the game. He goes crazy in the post game about how guys need to start taking things seriously because they're playing better competition. But yeah, Virginia's got a really good squad. Carolina's probably my surprise in terms of how they've looked relative to expectations. Duke's a Final Four type team, obviously, with how Boozer's looked. It's going to be a very competitive ACC with a lot of quad 1 and quad 2 opportunities. I think this is the deepest that the ACC has been, and again, a lot of this will reveal itself once we get into
there's some
play,
teams that are going to be fake good. Like Cal is 12-1, for
example. Yeah.
Did we literally jinx each other on that? Yeah, Cal is 12-1. They're probably going to get exposed a bit, but them, Wake, Notre Dame, us, we're kind of all in that same third tier, I would say. And I think we can be better than those teams. If we can get fully healthy, I think we can be better than those teams.
Yeah.
And then you're hopefully punching up against what is right now the top 8 teams. Like the top 8 teams in the ACC, Duke, Louisville, UNC, UVA, NC State, Clemson, Miami, and SMU, they're all top 40. KenPom, they're top 40 in the net, both consensus. So those are your top 8. And then it is some mixture of us and Cal and Wake and Notre Dame and maybe throw a Syracuse in there. But we're 12th in the conference in KenPom. We're 10th in the conference in net. And that's probably not good enough to get you in the tournament if that's where we would have finished the season. Like we need to move ahead of some of these teams. And to your point, there are resume building opportunity games. And so let's talk about a few of them. One of them, of course, is the UVA game at home. That is, as of right now, that is a Q1 opportunity because they are top 25 in the net. At Wake on the 3rd of January, coming up right after UVA, that's a Q1 opportunity. At SMU on the 13th, at Louisville on the 24th. And this isn't even all of the games in January. These are just the Q1 opportunities. That's 4 in the next month that are Q1 opportunities. Then you have Duke at home. That's on the 31st. That's still within January. And then there's 5 more road games closer to the end of the year from February on. NC State, Clemson, Miami, UNC, UVA, all on the road, all Q1 opportunities. There's a few home games that aren't like Q1s, but they are against the bubble teams like Cal, Notre Dame, Wake. We had them all at home in January. You kind of need to hold serve in those games. Like if you want to go to the tournament, we've discussed, like, do you think 9-9 in ACC play gets us into the tournament?
I think there's a chance. I was literally just going through my head here, going through a schedule in my head. I was like, all right, what is this going to take? I think 10 gets you in. I think 10
you feel good. Yeah.
10 you feel good. I think 9 you're sweating it out a little bit, but it's also like show me the 9 also, right? Like if you go 9-9, right, and you have, at least 3 quad 1 wins, but then the 9 losses, you have a few bad ones in there. You're going to be sweating it out on Selection Sunday. So,
You just need to get at least 3 quad 1 wins probably.
Right.
Because we don't have any right now. We're 0-1 quad 1. We're 3-1 quad 2 because of the way some things have broken. The Providence team has not held up.
No.
They are 7-6 right now. They're 0-2 in the Big East.
No.
So we have to do some damage in ACC play. Unfortunately, we will have opportunities. But if you want 9 conference wins and you have 9 home games, kind of tells you what you need to know here.
Yep.
You got to win your home games. You got to win the vast majority of them.
Yeah. Yeah. This schedule is going to be very competitive. January is going to tell us a lot. You're going to have to pick off a couple. I think obviously this game, is record here on the 30th. This game tomorrow against UVA is a big one. If you're able to find a way to steal this without Tyler Johnson, obviously if Toby ends up playing, this changes everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if Toby plays tomorrow, this becomes a very winnable game. Just because I think you negate a lot of things we were concerned about in terms of the ability to rebound if he's healthy, right? If he's healthy.
Plus it's 15 points.
Right. Yeah.
Just
plus
walking
he's a bucket.
in.
Yeah. He's a bucket. Yeah. So that helps too. I think this Virginia game is really important. Obviously, you get Toby back. You feel good about some of these other games in January. I mean, Wake Forest, like Steve Forbes, they've been an Achilles heel for Mike Young. You cannot lose this. This Wake Forest team is not bad, but you cannot lose to that team after whatever happens in this UVA game tomorrow.
Losing those back-to-back would be a tough start. It really would be.
Yeah. And then you have Stanford, Cal, and SMU 3 in a row. Like, if you go 3-0 there, that would be incredible. Try to get in, and we'll see, right? Like, I'm still not sure what Stanford and Cal are. Like, I do think SMU.
We're not familiar with their game. It's only been one season with them in the ACC prior to this one.
Right. And then SMU on the road, I think that will be a tougher game. I think SMU does have a pretty good team. So January's tough. January's schedule is tough. Like it's a hard stretch
brutal,
here,
dude.
Yeah.
It's a lot of games and there's a lot of good teams. And then I just don't know where the home games are. Like I'm just looking at the schedule and the opportunities and it's like so many away games. Like I know it's 9-9, but it doesn't feel like it. We don't get Pitt, which is one of the worst teams in the conference this year, which I guess is good for our strength of schedule that we avoid them, but it'd be nice to have like them at home. And at least we're getting BC at home. I think we're getting GT at home.
Ed's been talking about that Pittsburgh, like the lack of Pittsburgh game on the schedule since like September to you and I. He's like, why aren't we playing Pittsburgh? Like this year you want to play Pitt.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah. We probably need to steal at least 2 road wins because you're gonna drop one at home. Like the Duke game at home, it'd be great to win it and it'd be a huge resume boost. Yeah. But that is far from a guarantee. Like you're probably gonna drop a home game here or there.
I think if you get the 3 that I look at, and if you get 2 of them, I think you're a tournament team. At Louisville on the 24th, at NC State on February 7th, at North Carolina. It's TBD right now, but it's late February, early March. Those are the 3. If you can pick off, because that Duke, I mean, you get Duke at home, but I'm not as optimistic about that game. If you are able to pick off 2 of those 3 games, Louisville, NC State, North Carolina, I think you feel pretty good about your tournament chances.
Yeah, but those are really tough.
Those are really tough.
Like beating UNC in the Dean Dome is a tough ask.
Almost impossible.
It is really hard to do. Like the Clemson game, we've gone down there and we've won. We've gone to Miami and on occasion beat them. Yeah. And so those are games like if you're competing with other bubble teams trying to get up in the ACC standings, it's just as important to steal the NC State, steal the Clemson, steal the Miami game too. So, but you're right. Like if you go and get a Louisville win on the road, like that's a resume, like that's a feather in your cap that it almost makes you a lock if you are to get to that 9-win mark. If you get one of those big wins, I think that's where you were heading with that. Like,
right.
If you can get to 500 and have a couple big timers, then you'd probably make the tournament feel okay. But I don't feel quite as good about 10 wins as I did a month ago in the ACC because it's just tougher.
The league's
tougher than I thought it would.
The league's better, and everybody's this is a banged up lineup right now.
Yeah, like I know. We expected a little bit more continuity in the lineup, and we also know that Mike gets his team better throughout the year. And with this monkey wrench getting thrown in with the injuries, you wonder if that's going to mess with that chemistry as we kind of move forward, because we've already played a lot of games without Toby. We need them both back sooner than later. By the time the 10th rolls around, it's 1, 2, 3. That's our third game. The Cal game on the 10th is the third game in ACC play. You really got to have those guys back by the time we head to SMU on the 13th.
You do. I mean, you do. It's the health of this team is so critically important, especially in the front court. Getting Toby back, Toby and Tyler Johnson, like those are outside of losing Neo, like losing Tyler Johnson and Toby are two really, really tough ones to like overcome, because you don't have a shoe-in fit that does everything that Tyler Johnson does, like coming off the bench. Like Jaden Schu's a different player, and Bedford isn't the same type of guy, and Neo's a much different player. You just don't really have the Tyler Johnson like rebounding mold on the wing, and you don't have the athleticism. Like nobody on the team has the athleticism of Toby, obviously, and we've seen that. So those are just two really, really.
There are certain aspects that of Neo's game that are more replaceable than Tyler Johnson.
Correct.
It's kind of crazy how that is, but it's true. And the most irreplaceable is Hansberry, so we can't lose him.
No, can't.
He's been a stud for us. But Mike, I think we did it. I think we covered it pretty good. Little UVA, little ACC preview. We'll be coming back after the UVA game. I'm not sure. Ed's on vacation right now. He's enjoying some time out in Colorado, so we'll kind of figure out the schedule, see how the UVA game goes, if it warrants an immediate reaction, because it may. Who knows?
May.
We're hoping that it does. But make sure you're subscribed to the Sons of Saturday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as liking and subscribing to the video on YouTube. We appreciate everyone who's tuned in this year. It's been a good 2025, and 2026 has a lot of good things in store as well. So until next time, for me and Mike, go Hokies.